Warrior, here we go. We are live on January 9th, 2025. We are here with you today because we have to speak about a couple of things that I'm not really hearing a lot of people speak about. So thank you for joining into the Warriors. A reminder to hit the like button. I see Edie Crowley is here already saying thank you, Edie, to hit the like button, the thumbs up, whatever we want to call it. We need to, I know I'm a broken record, but I have to say it again. We need to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're almost there on the Warriors because that puts the Warriors then into this new super highway lane. Now I see that, let's see here. My husband's YouTube is listed here and his Twitter. I'll just leave that, I guess, for now. Yep, we come in a pair. So whatever, we'll leave that up for now. 5x5, I see Lionel. Now, Lionel Nation, I hear myself, again, we have this reverb. We had this going on the other day. I am not sure what's happening, so I will call in my technical producer. No. Don't mind us.
There we go. That's it. We're going to fix this, folks. How absolute negligent of me. Doesn't she look great today?
We're getting there, everybody. Hang on. Hold on.
No, we got plenty of time. And then we go with this one. We go. There we go. Make sure you sign up for that.
Now, why did you turn the sound off before? Can everybody hear me?
Can you hear me? 5x5. Can you hear? Give us an okay.
Yeah, because I.
No, they can hear you. You're not hearing them. Do we have a 5x5, ladies and gentlemen?
I understand, but I was hearing myself before.
We should have other things too. I know you heard, but you don't need it. You don't need to hear yourself.
I just want somebody to check in and let me know that they can hear me because, okay, Edie says 5x5. That's good enough for me because Edie is a chief warrior. Sorry about that. Second time or third time in a row, we're having these technical difficulties in our household, but bear with us. We are here. Listen, how can we not talk about what's going on in California? Thank you, Technics, also for we should hit the like button for the algorithm. Thank you. I want to get into that new super highway because then all of the Warriors information and videos will go into a whole new realm and more people will get our information and become warriors. And that's what we need because what we talk about, I can guarantee you next to nobody is talking about. Kim is there. Erlin, Q. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Okay, let's get to it. I can't help but think of California. We have to discuss it. We have to discuss it because my first thought was going to families and kids. Can you imagine how scared the kids must be right now? Because the adults are out of their minds and scared, and rightfully so. I am so disgusted, as all of you are, and I don't have to go through the story of what's going on there and the negligence. And there's not prepared in it. They're not prepared. How can they not be prepared? As a matter of fact, I am in California frequently, and I was in the La Jolla area not long ago. And I remember seeing these billowing clouds of smoke far away between like over the ocean and over the mountaintops. And I was asking the people I was with, I'm like, what is that going on over there? And they're like, oh yeah, there are like some fires brewing. And they took it so like nonchalantly, so casually. And I was like, oh, wow, I had the news on here the last couple of days. I didn't hear anything really about it. And they're like, yeah, they don't really talk about small fires. But this thing in the distance looked huge to me. So look, it's fair to say this state, everybody knows about this. This has been going on. They haven't kept up. Their leadership and management is horrific. And the kids must be out of their minds. Thank you, Lionel Nation, for saying I sound fantastic because I learned it all from you. So here's what I suggest. So for instance, I'm in New York City. All of you are in other places. Our children and grandchildren are seeing this as well. We need to reassure them that they're safe with us. And yes, this is a terrible thing. And I would say to you, as much as you can, keep them away from TV sets and all that. But you know what? The kids have so many devices today. They are undoubtedly seeing things on their own. So what do you have to do? You have to get in front of it. You know, it's an old PR strategy. You get in front of the story, you get in front of the crisis, and just talk to your kids, even if they don't bring it up, even if they're 15 years old, and you just give them some reassurance that they're okay. Because we are working with something called Dream Center LA, and you can see that on my Twitter and Facebook, Lynn's Warriors. Of course, I made it easy for everybody. I call it everything's Lynn's Warriors. They are taking in all of the donations and distributing them. And you know what? They're number one, the usual things: toiletries, diapers, wipes, personal products, toothpaste, toothbrushes. But you know what they really need? Children's shoes. They're saying all sizes of children's shoes, because most people actually saw a lot of them on the news, have like flip-flops on, or they ran out of the house without even shoes on, jumped in cars, but they need shoes for kids. They want to protect everybody's feet. So we have all that going on, and kids undoubtedly are so worried about their pets, and just horrific, complete devastation. So I was very angry to see the mayor. I did watch the news conference. Did any of you watch it? Please let me know if you did. And again, I don't live in California, and we're following along. But I do know of 2 people whose homes were completely destroyed, one in Malibu and one in the Pacific Palisades area, and also a friend of mine with a very exclusive kind of clothing store. And she just celebrated 25 years in it's a beautiful town, Pacific Palisades, in the town, and beautiful stuff. I mean, really high end, and completely burned to the ground and losing all of this stock. And as all of you know, there's next to no insurance in the state of California. So can you imagine? We're hearing a lot of those stories, but what we're not hearing is about, there are a lot of regular people who live in these towns. We're hearing a lot of stories, and it's coming on my phone and all this, about celebrities, influencers lost their homes. Okay, our hearts break for everybody, but I'm thinking about, the regular mom and dad, or the single mom with some kids, older sibling raising younger kids, because we have a lot of those people throughout that area as well. It's not just, yes, it is a wealthier area when we hear about Malibu, when we hear about Pacific Palisades. There were things happening in Topanga Canyon. I'm not sure what's going on there in the last hour. But you know what? There are a lot of people who settled in those areas decades ago. They're just regular people like you and me. So what's going on with them? I saw a 91-year-old man that 60 years in his home. And he said, I'll just start over. Lori Lewis, super sticker. Thank you, Lori, very much. Donations needed more than ever, as we're going to be supporting some of our people in California. New Mexico just sent tankers there today, a day late. Here's the thing. It's easy for us to look back on all of this. I'm not a mechanical person. I'm not in city management. Doesn't it really seem simple, with fires in the past, the history of California, especially in the last 2 decades or so, that we wouldn't be prepared? And I'm talking about even centers stocked with what we are working on, toiletries, diapers, having things lined up, emergency kits, so that they could just be grabbed. This is a complete devastation. I don't understand. I don't understand fire hydrants. Can you imagine? Again, I keep going back to the same thing. Not having water, and the management being so negligent, saying, well, they ran out of water. Well, I heard from some of my sources, the water wasn't there to start with for the firemen. So there was nothing there. You've got a one road in and out to, up a lot of these winding mountains into these neighborhoods. And when trees fall down, nobody was talking about that. Of course, you couldn't get your car over a tree. There were no, maybe it's happened by now. I heard the National Guard was on call this morning, and they were figuring out, would they use them and what would they use them for? I ask you, why wasn't the National Guard put in place right away to help people escape. I'm not understanding any of this, but the bottom line is we have to think about the children. We really do, because there are a lot of just regular people. I want to reinforce that as we see all these celebrities, take to the airwaves, and that's fine because they're spreading awareness and things like that. But really, and you know what my hope is for all of this devastation? Because I'm always at the Warriors looking for something positive to take out of all of this. Co-create with me too. Thank you, Lynn. No, thank you for joining us and for listening and being part of this. Yes, British journalist got the mayor at airport coming back from her Africa trip. What is that? But you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy people are finally seeing the beautiful state of California. I was going there decades ago. And to see what it has turned into, especially in the last, I'm going to say like 20 years. And even the highways used to be pristine. And then I noticed starting, 10 years ago, littered, dirty. That was the first thing when I went to California years ago. I was very impressed coming from New York, New Jersey, where the highways always seemed dirty to me, that when I got out there, I was so impressed with Florida. And don't mind the arm, everybody. Florida, the highways, and also, we're a full family affair here. Florida and also California, the pristine highways. Now, Florida is still pristine, but California's fallen by the wayside. But if anything good comes out of this, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, everybody will wake up. They will say enough, especially if your home burned down, and you will change your mind about who is running that state, and you will change course. I'm going to leave it at that. But be very careful if you're donating anything or sending monies. Be very, very careful in doing that. Please always think of the fire departments. I mean, the nerve of, defunding, the nerve of, I heard that, did anybody hear at that press conference this morning with Karen Bass, the mayor? It's bad enough what she pulled at whatever she was, the airport coming back yesterday, silence. But I'm glad she did that so everybody could see the true egos, the true natures, that they don't care about the people, the families, the kids. And again, let's put ourselves, we are so lucky we are not there. I don't understand it. I don't understand not being prepared. And also, what always happens in any kind of disaster, and this is truly beyond a disaster. I mean, this looks like a bomb hit. If you've seen some of those drone shots, devastation. Now, I don't know how all this infrastructure is going to be rebuilt. I can only hope the new administration will come in there, and I will say like a bulldozer. They were warned. Gavin Newsom was warned by President Trump, and things will change. I'm going to leave it at that. But always, let's talk about the devastation. Always in disaster, there is an increase in exploitation and trafficking. So again, we're hearing a lot about the celebrities and the multi-million-dollar homes, and we're not hearing about the regular people, really, the regular ones. And those are the ones we have to focus on, because the kids, schools burned down. Where are the pharmacies? Where are, the CVSs, I'll say? Where are the supermarkets burned down? Where is anything displaced your whole life? Your home, your belongings. And goodness, if children lose pets, it's horrific. We do a lot of horse therapy, dog therapy, using cats for people who have suffered traumas, exploitation, trafficking. So again, let's talk about January is National Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. We might as well throw that out the window, because nobody's even talking about that at all. Of course, we at the Warriors, we talk about it 24/7, 365. So just tune in to us, because we will never let that go. But we have to be, I haven't heard anybody talk about this. We have to be on extra alert, our boots on the ground in California, looking for any displaced kids. What about, surely there are some shelters somewhere all around these fires, foster homes and things like that. And I'm trying to get some updates now, but because there's such chaos, communications are down. I've reached out to 2 people that I've just not heard back from, which is very, very strange. But again, with all of the chaos, the last thing on their mind is, perhaps getting back to me in New York City. We know that Elon Musk said he was going in there today with the Starlink. That's another thing. Why doesn't he put that Starlink? Let everybody in the United States have it. Just blanket it so everybody can do that. Rebecca says, Allie Carter asking for a virtual March 4th awareness, Lynn. Okay, I think we're going to start hearing things. Thanks for the update, Neats says. Happy Love says, well, Dan says Democrats never change their spots. I have a feeling, Dan, I have to say this. This is it. This is going to cause a lot of people, especially when it hits you and your home burns to the ground and you're running for your life. I think we're going to get some change out of this. And Happy says, Happy Love. I like that. Karen Bass was never the person for the job. The last downturn, 2008, Bass remodeled her entire floor in Sacramento. She is a disaster. She's beyond a disaster. Let's not even waste our time about her. Her days are numbered. She's not even going to want, you know what? Her ego's so big that she had to read prepared remarks today at the press conference, as opposed to, sure, when you give a speech or something like that, a couple of bullet points. But when something like this happens and you're the mayor, you should be able from your heart to relay some information, right? And this woman, she had that smug look on her face. I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm getting so angry. Dream Center LA, again, our Warriors Twitter and Facebook. I put what they need. I put the address and the phone number, anything you can do. Make sure. We're going to hear about a lot of good people like Goya Foods, which the Warriors work with, supplying food. They want canned goods, things readily available. They'll be supplying. The tanks of water are coming in. But again, I ask with all, and I don't want to keep going over this, but it's just so horrific. It's like unbelievable. It's beyond, we constantly talk about the United States of America, the best country in the world. And then the state of California is burning down because it sure looks like that to you and me. And they had nothing prepared for this. You got a mayor in Africa. I don't know what she was doing. You got a governor. Let's not even talk about him. And I kept thinking, why wasn't he at that news conference this morning? He's too good to be at it. He's visiting with Biden. Like, shouldn't he be standing next to the mayor? No. And everything was, the winds blowing, the winds were too much. We know about the winds. Stop blaming everything on the winds. Couldn't put any fires out. Think about the kids. Think about the families. Think about how lucky we are. But getting back to, and David is absolutely right in saying being displaced from home because of wildfires is one of numerous vulnerabilities that traffickers use to target their victims. They are in there right now. And any teens that are, and kids, because remember the ages are getting younger and younger. We used to talk about, when I started all this Warriors work, we talk about the average age for trafficking is 12 to 14. And that stat is still used a lot, which I find so offensive. And by organizations working in all of this. Yeah, that's what we're told. That's what we see. You have to remember, a lot of these studies are so old. Something I do a lot, I've been in Washington. I'm very nice about it. I say with all due respect, I'm really not understanding. We have these round tables and brainstorming. With all due respect, I really don't understand why we don't have up-to-the-minute, up-to-date studies. For instance, I was given a study last year that I should work off of from 2019 for trafficking. I can't work off of something from 2019. And I don't even want to mention, what happened in 2020, the years forward, and here we are in 2025. So none of that works. None of those numbers work. I don't want to refer to them because we know everything has exploded, escalated, and just that's where it's going. Just straight up the numbers. And I guarantee you, the kids now, so then we started talking about, with law enforcement, the true number is getting younger and younger. It's really like 11 to 12. Okay. Now I'm hearing 8 to 10. Okay. So I guarantee kids who have devices are on there, if they're able to work them, they're near a tower or whatever, and they're pouring their hearts out. or they're talking to their friends, or they're talking to strangers online. And that is where that trafficker moves in to console them, to make them feel better. I got you. Now, remember, I always tell you at the Warriors, about 1 in 5, I'm going to say like 1 in 4.5, 9 to 17-year-olds are approached online, right, with something inappropriate. I have to always stop myself. I want to use other words, but we have algorithms here on YouTube, so you can read between the lines. Inappropriate. So let's say 1 in 4, 9 to 17, inappropriate material. Of that 1 in 4, that's like 25% of the kids. Remember, whatever we kind of know about, the numbers are always higher. Of that percentage, 40% will attempt to go out and meet that stranger in real time. And that number is probably higher. Maybe it's half, maybe it's 50%. So we know all of this chaos, all of none of the attention, which is lacking anyway, all of the parents or guardians, or whether it's a foster home or a shelter, kids have no schools to go to. That's where these criminals, these monsters move in. And I guarantee nobody's talking about this. Nobody's keeping an eye on any of this. We have to do it. So I'll be talking as soon as I hear back from them, some of my boots on the ground, some of my sources, to see what's going on. The kids have been so vulnerable anyway. And California, I'm not going to go through what was going on there, right? During that, I guess I'll say COVID period. I can almost not say that word because I get kind of sick. They just didn't let up with that. That was just unbelievable. I think they were some of the last kids. I think it was the last state to really have kids go back to school, I think, but don't hold me to that. So now I am worried about the vulnerable kids being preyed upon. And I'm also worried about what happens also if there's no money. I'm getting back to the regular people. Again, we're seeing a lot of Malibu and the wealthier, beach homes, and Paris Hilton and her weekend beach home. Again, our hearts break for everybody. This is complete devastation. But there are a lot of regular people living paycheck to paycheck. There are a lot of people. I keep saying to my husband, I know they're offering, gave some website for free housing or to find. What if you can't go to a hotel and afford all that? Now your car's burned out. What do you do? How is this going to happen? Is FEMA, they're useless anyway, but unless something happened in the last hour while I've been at a meeting, why aren't they there immediately in some location in LA where people can flock to, get to something? And I don't want to hear, because somebody said to me this morning, well, it's only going on 3 days later. I don't care. We need an emergency plan in place. It's just like I always tell you with the kids. We hope it never happens. In your home, you should have an emergency plan in place. What is that? Immediately, if your child disappears, what do? Always 911. Immediately, you must have a record. Number 2, what if your child receives an image, inappropriate, or they share one? What do? Cybertipline.org. Immediately, you must have these bullet points. Hopefully, you never have to use them, but you have to be prepared. So I don't understand any of this, except I think it is finally the breaking point for the state of California. I have high hopes that it is all new. This is grief and mourning, and just even the kids thinking, I don't have my bedroom. I don't have my school. I don't have my pet. I don't have my shoes. Please, all of us, let's really think of them and send our healing vibes and anything we can do to empower them. But it is unacceptable. And I haven't really heard anything about New York stepping up and offering anything. Maybe I missed something, but everybody should have done this immediately. Immediately. And isn't it funny how I'm getting back to the celebrities now? Some of them so outraged, saying this is unacceptable. Again, any kind of PR that bashes this mismanaged state is great. But our focus now, I wish they would focus, these people who have a platform, have mouths, going on television, going online, going on podcasts, would put the focus on, okay, families, kids, schools, right? So let's think about all of that. But if anything comes out of this, it's got to be new leadership and management in the state of California. Joa08, my brother was a first responder. He started to notice children don't memorize phone numbers. He said parents need to make sure children know phone numbers by heart if separated from cell phone. Actually, that is excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm glad you brought that up, because even I sometimes have pre-programmed numbers in, for relatives. And if I have to, there's one in particular, I can never remember it. So that's another thing. Have those written down somewhere, and also have your children, always your teens, memorize your phone number. Always 911, that's an easy one, but memorize your phone number. Kids today can't write. They can't remember phone numbers. Basic things. We have to get back to these basics, because look at all the disaster around us. We have so much going on. Pete says that was a skill that many have lost, but all of us have to get back to this. Let's start memorizing phone numbers. Let's start making, I'm going to say it again, this family emergency plan. Like, we have to really think in terms of disaster. Look what we're faced with. These people may have in their homes, stocked up on water and medication just in general before any of this happened. Forget it, though. It's all burned out. What about all the medication for people? Is one of these big chains like a CVS, did they step in? Maybe they didn't. I missed it because I haven't been looking at anything in the last hour. Have they stepped up and put out an announcement like, we're going to handle everybody? You can come to us. Like, where is this, honoring our hashtag community creates change? These are simple things, if I can think of them, that should be in place already. Instead of, imagine if somebody needs their insulin, or some child needs their asthma medication, because the air must be horrific there. And for anybody having breathing problems, anybody, and children and babies. So I'm not sure, but I haven't been seeing, let me know if you saw any, like on the news or online or anything, regular people. I haven't really seen too many. I just keep seeing these celebrity types. So we have all of that going on. Again, I remind you, trauma. And I urge you to go back and look at the interview I did with Edie Nathan. And it's posted right here on the YouTube. And I like to say the Warriors channel. And she's an expert. She's a psychoanalyst. And she has some very good ideas about dealing with trauma. It is an ongoing process. It never goes away. Now, this was done a couple of weeks ago because I wanted to discuss during the holidays, working with victims and survivors and just the general population. A lot of people, the holidays are a happy time, but a lot of people are also very sad and down during the holidays. So I wanted to talk to an expert who could give us some advice, how we handle this, because it's the same thing. You don't want to attack people. How do you feel? I'm worried about you. What are you doing? You want to come to it. Let's think of things to do in a new way. 2025 for the Warriors, we are having new ideas, new strategies. In Washington, we'll be presenting ideas, because nothing, for instance, I'm jumping around a little bit, but bear with me. Nothing with the trafficking, the exploitation, getting ahead of the predators, let's face it, has worked. Now, realistically, will we ever stop human trafficking, which the Warriors has rebranded slavery, because the word slavery is a much more descriptive word than trafficking, in my opinion. It is enslavement. We have more slavery today than any other time in our American history. We want ideas that are going to change this, solutions. I'm tired, whether it's up in Albany, our state capital, which we travel to, or the federal government, so we go down to DC, sitting around, really, I can't take it anymore, and I don't take it, saying how bad it is, and we have to educate, and we have to have prevention and intervention, and we have to this and that. Well, let me tell you something. During the holidays, the Warriors, look, I love to work. I'm passionate. I have energy. We work 7 days a week. If need be, 24 hours a day. I do not exaggerate whatever comes to the table, we deal with. I may lay out a day of doing all this work and it gets blown up because somebody somewhere needs help, or I need to just, leave the house and go do something. But anyway, that being said, I could not believe the number of people I reached out. And I'm not talking Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's Day. I'm very mindful of holidays. But and just keep going. And all these emails I got back, well, we're off. The office is closed until January 6th, or I'll be back, January 10th. And I'm thinking to myself, you work in Washington. You're supposed to be there on certain days, especially this lame duck Congress we just went through. We were pushing in this 10-week period to get some child legislation pushed through. And the people weren't there, some of them, that should have been there. So we have to have new ways of doing things. There's really a lack of understanding. And that's why I decided we have to let the kids, the teens, we have to form these partnerships. I was thinking yesterday, when I grew up in New Jersey, it was kind of my parents here, the kids here, but it was kind of the way it was in everybody's households, right? Not in 2025. We have to have a full circle. We have to let the kids come to the table, sit them down, let them form a group, and we're there as the parents or guardians, whatever we are, grandparents. We have to get them to talk to us. And we have to say, little Susie, age appropriate. Now, this is a tough one, but this is what I'm out to do with the Warriors in 2025. I can't tell you when to buy your child a device. I tell you this all the time. There's something called parental autonomy. We always say at the Warriors, delay is the way. We urge you, wait until 8th, means 8th grade. What child really needs all this social media, as I put that in the air quotes, as you can see, until they're in 8th grade? However, I can't tell you. We already know kids 9 to 17 have access in their homes, on their bodies, to 4 devices, the Chromebooks, the laptops, the phones, the gaming. That's the reality, right? So we have to figure out a way, because I don't do it, which is why I don't really fit into all these groups I'm with. I'm not beholden to anybody. So I talk appropriately, truth, facts. That doesn't work. So we have to come up with new ideas, everybody. That same old thing. For instance, January 11th, so that will be in 2 days, right, is Wear Blue Day. And that is, you're supposed to wear blue to raise awareness about human trafficking. Blue is the color for human trafficking. That's why I always have a little blue heart with Lynn's Warriors. But our warriors are loving warriors. That's what it means to me. We fight for you. We love you. We give love. We accept love. And I've worn blue and you're supposed to take your picture and tag, Homeland Security and this, that, and the other one. I've done it. But then I was thinking, and blue, by the way, is the color because our hearts are blue and sad because it's trafficking, slavery. And those who are exploited, trafficked, are blue because they're trafficked. But I'm thinking, Wear Blue Day, does it do any good? It's like everybody talking to each other with the hashtag Wear Blue Day. What does it really do for that victim, that survivor, that child, that teen that's run away and they're down the street at the Port Authority here? What is it, 27 degrees today? And they walk out onto 8th Avenue. They took a bus. Freezing cold. They don't know which way is up, down, where they're going. Might have just jumped on a bus with no plan. Kids think they're resilient. Kids think they know everything. Kids think, okay, I'll know when I get there. I can guarantee you, within a few minutes, because these predators, they're very good. I see them. I can walk past the Port Authority, see these guys. And women. We have a lot of women these days because they act as the mother figure, the sister, so the guys don't scare the kids. I'm talking about 12, 13, 14, because I've seen some kids. And I'm like, they should be in school. Why are they coming out of the Port Authority or going in? Just kind of sketchy stuff. And I guarantee when you're cold and hungry, and this is what happens, somebody's nice and talks to you. The kids are so naive, despite them thinking they're brilliant and they know everything at the tender age of 12, 13, 14, 15. Um, oh, you're new in town? Oh, okay. Oh, you're hungry? Okay, let me buy you a sandwich. Okay. Oh, let's go over here. And somebody's very nice to you. I guarantee you, even if that child or teen was spoken to, they're going with the person. It's like those stories where, remember they used to tell us, I've taught my child. I actually heard my husband referring to this the other day, and it reminded me. We taught our children, you don't go, all of us, right, off with a stranger. And then there was some TV show, 48 Hours, one of those shows. And they did the video. Or it was one of those shows like What Would You Do? Or one of those things, right, with a hidden camera. And it's like all the kids, because somebody approached the child and would say, would you help me find my puppy? The old thing like, don't take candy from a stranger. Don't go up to a car. The whole thing became an animal now, a puppy or a cat, a kitten. And parents were shocked because all the kids went off with the stranger. It's that simple. Kids are still very naive despite anything you tell them. Or they think, the teens, the older kids, they can get their way out of something. They know danger. They don't really know danger if they're thrown in the back of a truck, they're brought to Port Newark, they're shipped off to some other place. Reality. So we need this, taking the kids, this is the goal of the Warriors this year, sitting them down. Our focus groups we've done, kids will report to us eventually when we gain their trust. Like, they don't listen to me, my parents. They're busy on the computer. They're busy working. They don't have time for me. That is all true. Because today it's very overwhelming if you're trying to work, run a house, pay the bills, get everybody to school, feed everybody. It's an exhausting job. Let's all admit it. But remember, the kids are watching. And the kids learn by example. Despite any behaviors you think coming out of your children, they are watching each and every one of you. Pete asks, oh no, that still goes on, the port? That port, Pete, I know they have these grandiose plans that, I don't know, in 2040, they're going to build it up over the Hudson River or something. That place is, I haven't been in it in years, but I walk past it a lot, is just a pit of, I don't know what. It just attracts, and the whole side of it down 42nd Street between 8th and 9th, if you pass by there about 6 in the morning, you've got tremendous homeless sleeping against the building. It's just dirty. It's never gotten cleaned up. I think it did get cleaned up for a while when they renovated, maybe the late 80s. The 90s, they kind of jazzed it up a little bit, but fallen again. But what do kids do? They don't have money. They usually take a bus. They take a train somewhere. So that's a good reminder in your town. If you see a child alone, and people are afraid to get involved because they think, oh, I made a mistake. I did. Remember, you really don't get in trouble if you call 911 and say, listen, I don't know. But now, again, your gut is usually right, because there was a story recently where some woman, she let her child walk a mile into town or something like that. And some woman came up to the kid and she was saying to him, why are you walking? This, that, something. And I think he was around 10 or 11. And the woman reported. There was a whole big brouhaha. They wanted to arrest the mother, or they did arrest the mother. So I understand people being scared. But usually your gut tells you. That woman just seemed like kind of a nutcase. But I thought, all right, she was checking on the child. No, we shouldn't be, arresting mothers. There's a lot of horrible parents. These stories are endless that come to me every day in press releases, or I read online, or people send me about these negligent parents. I really throw away the keys about them. But let's talk about walking a little bit. But anyway, as I digress, we have to, if you see something, say something. I know that's very cliche. You won't get in trouble. That's why if you contact even cybertipline.org, somebody is having inappropriate dialogue with your child, we want the kids to come to us. They need in 2025 to trust us, right? How are we going to do that? By forming these partnerships in the home. For instance, you have a 12-year-old. Okay, after dinner, we're going to sit around. Little Susie, tell me about Who are you talking to online? What do you do? What games do you like online? Start asking them so they can speak up. And we've got to put some sort of guardrails around everything, but it's up to you because, again, I can only tell you what's going on, urge you, give you resources, direct you, but you have to do the work. Yes, Rebecca says cerebral cortex not fully developed yet. I don't think it's developed till you're close to 30, right? They always say 25, 26. You hear all different things. I always, with the internet, say 30 and under has been born in the digital bubble, right? And I believe that to be true. And so it's not their fault, any of this. And it's never the parents' fault for the most part, or, our faults. This is the way of the world. We have to accept it, but we have to change it. We cannot let it go on. We have to remain vigilant. And I ask everybody who's celebrating and looking forward to the new administration, and we dodged a bullet, but let me remind you, look what's happening in California. Lots of things are happening. Kids are taking it all in, seeing things online, talking to each other, picking up on the parents, family members' feelings. We must remain vigilant 24/7, 365 over the next 4 years. I'm very convinced about this. We cannot rest on our laurels and think everything's A-okay, because it is far from A-okay. We have to become warriors. We have to become fighters. We have 4 years now, each and every one of us, to work very hard to engage, educate, empower our kids. Do that in your home, in our communities. That is good enough. That is a warrior. You don't have to go to Washington like me. You don't have to form nonprofits. You just have to participate in your own home. I'm urging, I'm actually begging you. Because the government, too much red tape. I believe some good things are going to be happening with the new administration. But again, red tape, things take time. You have to go through Congress. Thank goodness. I feel confident about it. Still, it takes time. In the meantime, while all that's happening, in your home, in your town, in your community, in your school, things are happening. You must be that boots on the ground. Joa08, the most vulnerable are alone. Maybe children should have a buddy system went out, safety in numbers. That's true, the buddy system. But sometimes it can't be, right? I do, in my personal opinion, don't ever think children should be outside, walking alone. I just don't think. I really don't think. It's better to be with a friend or a family member. But that being said, depends what the family does, what they want to do. So I leave you with, think about what you can do to help California, even if it's using your platforms to share a phone number, the site for if you need a place to stay. I'll put some things in the body of the video. Also be very careful if you're sending anything or donating, where that money and goods are going. Be very reliable. The LA Dream, we're really with them because we know they're the real deal. And think about January, Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. What does that really mean? What does it mean to you? Maybe you don't have a child, but you have a neighbor. You have a family member. What does it mean? You must get involved in some way, shape, or form because it's 2025. And however we grew up or whatever was, is not. And my reference to you is look at these fires. I couldn't imagine. There have always been fires in California. Little brush fires they put out, once in a while a bigger fire. But this is complete devastation. This is war. And the kids are seeing all this. So a reminder, talk to your kids, open and honestly. And just love one another. I have no advice to anybody except Lori Lewis. Thank you very much. And to all of you who have been donating and volunteering and offering goods and services, a reminder, we had a tremendous holiday period at the Warriors. We do a lot of things. We don't put the pictures online or even talk about it. But from Thanksgiving through the New Year, we had lots of events and lots of happy faces and happy parents and adults, and we fed a lot of people. And that's really what it's all about. So think about what you can do in your community and honor our hashtag at the Warriors Community Creates Change. Follow linswarriors.org. Thank you for being with us. Share the information. And remember, each and every day when you get up, go out and be a warrior. Thanks, everybody.